In a harmonious town where humans and animals coexist, high schooler Iroha and her pup Komugi find themselves facing a sinister threat. When Komugi unexpectedly gains superpowers, transforming into a human with extraordinary abilities, he becomes Iroha's unlikely savior. Together, they embark on a series of adventures, battling evil and navigating the complexities of high school life. Get ready for a quirky anime where furry friends become heroes, and the bonds between human and pet are put to the ultimate test. It's a blissful, warm morning in this town. Birds singing and animals everywhere. Iroha is still in bed, but her pet dog, Komugi, suddenly wakes her up by jumping on her back and squeezing the air out of her in the process, signaling her that it's morning and it's time to get up. It's an early start, and the pet is already trying to kill its owner. This should be fun. Iroha gets ready to head out and greets her dad in the process before leaving. Full of energy and vigor, she heads out for a walk and ends up greeting all the animals along the way. They get back home and her father serves both her and Komugi breakfast. He tells them to sit, brings the food, and then waits a bit before giving the signal for them to start eating. If it was only the dog, I would completely understand. But Iroha following along with it and her dad acting like this is how she was raised, so much for humans being at the top of the food chain. Iroha's mom then reminds her that she's supposed to play at a volleyball match in school and she's already running late. She quickly gets ready, and her dad packs the rest of her breakfast for her. As she is about to step out, Komugi latches onto her waist like glue, refusing to let go. Iroha tries to get her dog down and says they'll play when she gets back, but Komugi quickly latches back onto her again. The dog really sticks around like an obsessed ex. The mom then holds down the dog, allowing her daughter to finally leave. Komugi struggles and heads upstairs to their room window and watches sadly as Iroha goes to school. Iroha's mom then comes up and tries to soothe Komugi by offering to play with her, but Komugi ignores her like she was a non-existent entity. I didn't think puppies could be so cruel. She then reminds Komugi that there's still food left out, but she continues to ignore her and just lies down there. A quick scene then comes up, showing different kinds of animals and a sheep that seems to be calling out for help. They are suddenly covered with some strange black energy that transforms them into eggs. Seems a sinister plot is at play here. What did those poor animals ever do? We get back and Komugi is seen having a nightmare that involves being left behind by Iroha as she goes to play with some friends. This dog really has an unhealthy obsession. Do animals even have dreams? Luckily, as Komugi wakes up, she hears Iroha's voice saying she's back. The puppy rushes down to meet Komugi and they sit out for a while. Iroha starts taking care of her puppy by brushing her fur, then giving a biscuit treat. This dog is definitely living that rock star life. After that, Iroha decides that they should go on a walk around the whole town. It's going to be the longest leg day of her life by the time she's done. Not long after, they meet a gray-haired boy called Satoru, who also seems to be with his own pet dog, Daifuku. Satoru is trying to figure out why the stone he was staring at is called a mirror stone, considering it doesn't show his reflection. He also mentions the reason their town is called Animal Town is due to the number of pet owners and animals there. Guess the town has no problem feeding with the amount of protein they have. Iroha mentions how she was told that if you see your reflection in the mirror stone, then your wish would come true. Satoru says he'll study the town's history to find out more about the stone. Iroha compliments Satoru on how knowledgeable he is and how he studies hard. This makes Satoru blush a bit, while Daifuku stares at both of them unfazed at whatever is going on between these two humans. Iroha mentions that her current wish is to be placed in the same class as Satoru because they were separated before. This makes Satoru blush even harder, and he acknowledges her wishes. Satoru just became the luckiest man in the whole of Animal Town. He's getting the chicks just like that. Iroha then continues her walk and sees a moving van in front of a house. A girl is then seen standing by her window with her pet cat, talking to her cat about making new friends in this town, but her cat seems to doubt her. As Iroha notices them, the girl immediately bends down, trying to hide herself. So much for making new friends in town. Such a great start. Iroha introduces herself to the kitty and continues on her walk. This has to be a medical condition that's causing her to greet and introduce herself to animals. The cat then slaps her owner on her head in a way that says, "Weren't you supposed to be making friends?" The girl then tries to explain that she was startled, but the cat isn't buying it. She also mentions how weird it was for Iroha to introduce herself to the cat. At least someone out here sees the issues. Iroha then gets to a park that's full of people and their pets having fun and playing around. There's a kid who seems to be playing hide and seek with his dad and dog. The dog notices a strange egg but doesn't have the time to investigate. As the dog leaves, the egg begins to crack and starts emitting an evil aura. Iroha starts playing catch with Komugi. As Komugi runs to get the ball, she comes across a really shiny stone that sort of resembles the mirror stone they saw earlier. Just as they are there, the evil egg cracks open and a huge ram emitting a much more foul aura comes out of it. I wonder how it was able to fit in the egg for so long. But let's just throw science out the window. Everyone in the park starts running for their lives while the ram wreaks havoc. It notices the boy and his dog from earlier, but Iroha steps in to save them by leading it away. Komugi, who is struck with fear, can't do anything but stand there and continuously bark. As Iroha trips from being exhausted from the running and the ram is about to stomp her, Komugi then finds the courage to save her best friend and jumps in front of the ram. At that instant, the shiny mirror stone from earlier reacts to her bravery and transforms her to a human with special abilities. So this stone ignored all the humans in town and decided to give a dog superpowers. Isn't that nice? Komugi in her new human form then fends off the evil ram long enough for the ram to get scared and start running away. She chases it down, and instead of killing it, decides to embrace the ram, which surprisingly lifts off the evil aura, leaving just a small sheep lying on the floor. Who knew hugging your opponent could win the fight for you? We learn something every day. After the ram goes back to being a sheep, which also undoes all the damage it did to the park, Komugi then goes to meet Iroha and expresses how happy she is to be the same as her. Iroha, still confused as to who the girl is, performs her regular signature handshake she does with Komugi, which leaves her beyond surprised that her pet dog is now a human like her. As much as she is surprised, she seems to be taking this better than I expected. Komugi runs in and gives Iroha a hug. I'm sure I'll pass out if I were ever caught in such an embrace. Iroha, lost in perplexity, asks Komugi what just happened. I won't blame her. She's been a dog all her life. Komugi explained the process of her running and hugging her. Iroha just goes with the flow. You might be thinking that's the end of the shocker. Spoiler alert, a sheep walks up to Iroha and opens its mouth to say actual words. Human, comprehensible words. At this point, some girls would have fainted. Before Iroha could even think far, Komugi alights her thoughts by telling her she's also standing and talking too. I can imagine a goat getting on 2 legs and walking to me. I shouldn't even be in a 1,000-mile radius of that devil incarnate. Talk less of it getting close enough to say hi. Komugi expresses her feelings of always wanting to converse with Iroha. Iroha, as we all know, says she has also always wanted to talk to her. I guess the sheep has been trying to get their attention, because the way he yelled for them to give him attention is something else. The sheep introduces himself as Mei the butler. Before he can even finish the statement, Komugi calls him Mei the sheep. Forget that he's a sheep, this guy is Alfred-level butler. Neat and looks like he'll send you to the hospital if you mess up. Komugi tries petting the butler sheep. Even I won't like to be touched while I'm grooming myself for paradise. Mei tells them about Nico Garden, a wonderful land made specially for animals to live and thrive together. I want to believe the lions in these images are vegans. Mei worries that other animals out there might need help too, and he requests Komugi to help rescue them. This is the part where I love. Mei literally shoots down everything they offer, saying, "That's bad," until he loses breath and feels dizzy. Mei returns home through his briefcase wormhole. Honestly, Gugu-Garu must have worn him out. Komugi-sama needed to go home to fill up her belly, but she couldn't enter because how does Iroha explain that she left home with a dog, and she's back with a girl and without a dog? Surprisingly, Komugi transforms into a peacefully sleeping dog. I knew she was an animal. Iroha had always been an animal lover from heart because she also rescued Komugi. Komugi could speak human language even as a dog and was not scared to show off. Next morning, Komugi wakes Iroha up. Iroha's mom greets her, and Komugi answered. Iroha had to shut that jumpy little dog's mouth with her hand and answer her mother. She immediately warns Komugi not to talk in dog form. Satoru comes in the morning to speak to Iroha, and before we go on with that, can we all take a moment to appreciate Iroha's 110 men who obviously settled for less because I don't even know what to say. Take a look at what he's putting on right now. Iroha and Satoru go out to play with their pets. Just right about now, a Gugu-Garu activates. Iroha and Komugi felt its presence and went after it. They arrive at the location of the Gugu-Garu ostrich. As Power Rangers transformation goes, Komugi morphs into her Precure self and goes after the Gugu-Garu ostrich. Seeing Komugi struggle, Iroha runs in to save her wonderful pet. What's a little power of friendship running down to save her pet? Iroha gets an epiphany, a rush of emotions. She's filled with passion to save her pet. She thinks back on the first day she rescued Komugi as a stray dog, every moment they spent together, and just like that, with the power of sheer will to save her pet, she gets a wonderful pack. She immediately morphs up. Komugi was mind-blown seeing Iroha morph, but now it's twice the manpower. They both charge in towards the Gugu-Garu. Honestly, if the Gugu-Garu ostrich was really out to hurt them, it would hurt them bad. But it's just hitting them off and facing its business of trying to destroy the surroundings. Gugu-Garu tries to hit Iroha away, but she gets a grip on his wing. Komugi runs in and does so too, with a little struggle. And I honestly don't believe that they used hugs to cure the thing. Is it that the animals lacked love? That's why they turned into Gugu-Garu? I was expecting they whoop the thing's ass and exorcise the evil spirit in them. What a non-violent way of fighting. The ostrich returns back to normal now, and the girls revert back to their normal form. So you mean to tell me that all they did was put on fancy Barbie dresses? No special power-ups of any sort. We might need to change the name of this anime to Power Rangers, Bridgeton Force. The ostrich falls down because it's weak. They call in May, who totally doesn't see the huge-ass ostrich on the floor, but notices the tiny little wonderful pack hanging on Iroha's waist. He was blown out of his mind. Before he can say 2 or 3 things, Iroha pledged to help out the animals. Iroha informs May about the weakened animal. He says they should all go into Nico Land. He spreads out his box. The colors on it are like action paintings. May jumps in right after them. I wonder how the land is going to be like Nico Land. Iroha and Komugi jump into a portal like an action painting on the floor. May follows suit and jumps into the portal. This is one of the most colorful animes I've set my eyes on so far. I had to watch it in 2K resolution. It's like Disneyland with a touch of Barbie because almost everything is in the gradient of pink. I shall proceed to reserve my comment about the huge-ass diamond ring that's being used as the portal. Everything about this anime screams at the female gender. May corrects Komugi that it's not a dog-run field. What I'm about to say, I want you to imagine it in a girly Disney princess voice. It's the wonderful land called Nico Garden. Now that is over with, Komugi whips out her mirror and transforms into a dog and begins to run around. May keeps trying to explain something to Iroha and Komugi, but they don't pay attention or acknowledge his presence at all. Iroha is amazed by the wonderful creatures that inhabit Nico Garden. On the other hand, I'm amazed and at the same time perplexed by the fact that the animals are all chanting Nico. They must be so proud of the land, because I've got nothing but resentment and disappointment towards my fatherland. The second thing that amazes me is that fact that May is still doing all he can to get their attention. A few birds carry the rescued ostrich-looking animal. May plucks some gummy bear-looking fruits from a tree. They're not gummy bear-looking, it's literally gummy bears. May feeds it to the rescued ostrich, and it recovers at the speed of light. It gets up and thanks them. Like every reasonable creature, it takes its leave. I rescued a cat a while ago, and the thing won't just let me be. Sorry, I digressed. Komugi is curious about what those gummy bears are. Even I too, but I'm a man. I'll never admit, I just did. May tells them that it's a special fruit called the Nico fruit. It's so delicious that it makes you go, Nico. Let's call the Nico fruit gummy bear, 'cause I know you want to. In an array of cliché names, the animals here are called Nico animals. They're a little bit different from the normal world animals, but they look somewhat the same. Komugi wants to eat the gummy bears, but Iroha says dogs aren't supposed to eat gummy bears. Komugi quickly transforms into her human form and enlightens her taste buds with the gummy bears. May informs us that he and his master, Nico-sama, were the ones who created Nico Land, so that the animals could live with Nico smiles. Bro, so creative he named everything after himself. Nico. May continues telling the tale of the land. He gets to a part where one day everywhere in Nico Land went dark and stormy, and in the midst of the chaos, some animals went missing. He pleads with Iroha and Komugi to help him find the missing animals. Iroha suggests she brings a third party into the search because he has lots of knowledge on animals, and for all anime fandom, this special person is called Satoru, which startles my heart, as I remember that Satoru in some other anime that I'm not going to mention, its name is still in the Prism realm. Sigh. May shoots down the idea though, saying the power of Precure and Nico Land are a secret and should not be whispered to the ears of others. I'm laughing my ass out at the way May dramatically yelled that it's a bad idea to tell a third party about Nico Land. I wasn't expecting it at all. On her way back, Iroha runs into Satoru, who expresses his feelings of worry about how they both absconded a while back. Iroha startles all through the lies, but Satoru is just happy she's okay. They part ways, and she feels so bad that she lied. Satoru in the woods thinks to himself about the fact that, see, he's in love with her. He cares and reasoning if he's unapproachable or she doesn't just trust him. In the midst of his thoughts, a bush from a distance shakes. He and his bunny move closer to see what's happening, and he finds a black and golden egg. He sits and reasons why type of egg this is, and like every normal guy, his natural instincts are to touch it. But Daifuku, his rabbit, pulls him back and starts running. Satoru follows suit. Seeing the egg from another angle, I honestly feel the inscriptions on it make it look like a skull face. Satoru gets home and casts about the internet for the egg he saw, but finds nothing. Simultaneously, Satoru leaves his home early in the morning without his pet. Iroha leaves too, but with Kumogi, her pet. They're both in search of the same thing, Gugu-Garu. To Satoru, it's a black egg he knows nothing about, but to the girls it's an evil rabbit-looking Gugu-Garu. Satoru gets to the egg and finds it broken. The broken pieces disappear, and there it was, Gugu-Garu standing behind him. I don't know how, but by some miracle, Satoru escapes the animal and hides from it behind trees. Kumogi notices the presence of Gugu-Garu and notifies Iroha. Satoru tries to run, but he steps on a stick. It's always a stick. Always. In the chase, like Temple Run OZ. But this time Gugu-Garu leaps ahead and blocks Satoru's path. That's when the heroes troop in. Iroha and her dog. They both use the power of Precure to turn into Disney princesses, and I'm hoping they have useful power-ups. But to my greatest disappointment, they used the power of hugs and love to tame Gugu-Garu. After the evil spirit possession washes away, Gugu-Garu becomes a small Kira rabbit. We all know Satoru is amazed by what he saw and called them Precures. Satoru follows them back to Nicoland. Mei is shocked to see him, but after a calm exchange of words, Mei was okay that Satoru would join the crew and help save the land. It's a very beautiful morning in an unfamiliar house. Lord, when I marry, let her be this cute when she's asleep. I don't care if she has to wake up and do a little makeup. I just can't wake up to a masquerade. Lord, that'll just ruin my day. Now back to the anime. This pretty little damsel is woken up by her cute and adorable cat. From the looks of it, I can already tell that the cat is from Nickelodeon. Hold up. No, that's not the name, it's Nico. Nicoland. The cat's name is Yuki. The cute little girl speaks to her mom through the window. They're new in town and her mother opened a fashion shop. She's worried about the audience and customers. What if they don't like her mother's style? What will happen if they don't have customers? Yuki comes over to her owner and provides the comfort you humans get from them, like a superior breed I am. I find my solace in 2 sizable human mammalian glands. Satoru puts together the information he has on the Gugu-Garu, while Iroha just stands there snuggling Komugi. Mei calls them in, and they all jump into Nico land, anything to escape reality. As soon as they arrive, the Kira rabbit expresses its gratitude to them for saving it. They're Kirarin rabbits because they have Kirarin gems on their heads. Mei tells the Kira rabbit to go into its Kirarin house. Immediately it gets in. The house glowed and began to levitate. You know how Heat Blast uses rocks to fly? That's how the house had a little land around it as it levitated. The rock has gemstones at the bottom which shone a light on the big-ass diamond. A few trees and something's in Nico land. Mei explains that if all 9 Kirarin rabbits return, the diamonds will shine bright again, and everything will go back to the way it was. Mei urges the kids to help find the missing Nico animals. They never really listened to Mei, because as he was speaking, Iroha was taking her leave. Mei does the usual. He shouts at them to wait. Remember the cute girl we saw at the beginning of the episode? We see her now. Standing in front of her house just as she was wondering if she'll get any customers, Iroha came running in with her dog. Iroha is really happy to be the first customer. Iroha introduces herself and her dog. The girl introduces herself as Mayu Nekoyashiki. Mayu's mom comes out to invite her new customers in, but she stops Iroha and tells her Komugi cannot come in. Dogs are not allowed because they might react to the scents of the products. The stupid dog spoke. Iroha had to cover it up and take the dog out of them before it starts yapping more rubbish than it had already yapped. She takes Komugi aside and tells Komugi that she shouldn't be talking in dog form. Komugi really wants to go, so they decide to go in human form. I might not be all smart and all, but why would human form Komugi still introduce herself to Mayu and her mom as Komugi? They go in, got some girly animal things and a makeup session. Komugi steals this opportunity to talk to Yuki. Komugi just pesters the innocent cat. I literally and actually and so seriously thought that the cat would talk back, but I was disappointed. Komugi sights Mayu and Iroha talking and laughing, so she runs in to meet them. She sees Iroha and really loved her makeover. Komugi asks to be beautified. Mayu just tells her to rub some eyeshadow around her eyes. There's no funny way to say this. She's a dog, we know. She just rubs it around her eyes, making a circle. Iroha laughs at her. Time to time, Iroha noticed that Mayu looks anxious. On their way back, Iroha mentioned the fact that Mayu gets anxious sometimes. As she speaks, another Gugu-Garu awoke. They both rush to the location of the Gugu-Garu and morph up. Please, we've seen them morph enough. The anime writers should really shorten the time they use to morph. This Gugu-Garu is not the usual. It's smaller than the rest. It doesn't attack because of its size, but it's evasive to the core. Its movements are pretty hard to follow. The fact that they speak of using the power of friendship ticks me off. I hope they don't meet a Gugu-Garu that will use their stupid power of friendship to mop the floor. It might actually be this Gugu-Garu, who knows. They try to use their friendship skills to save the Gugu-Garu-possessed monster, but it keeps avoiding them and running away. It eventually jumps into a highway. I thought the incoming truck was going to wipe the anime clean of this one, but like the Power Ranger she's supposed to be, Super Iroha jumps in and saves the monster. This puts the truck in danger of falling off the cliff. Super Komugi uses something. I would say it's cool because it looks like the paws of Kuma from One Piece, but it was girlified. The Gugu-Garu is healed with the power of love and returned to Nicoland. Thanks for watching, fellow weebs. If you enjoyed this recap, dive into the next video or playlist. See you in the next recap.